What's up, everybody? Harrison Graham here with another episode of Four Verts. And what we're going to do today is hand out grades for all of the head coaching hires in the 2025 cycle. 6 of the 7 hires have been made as we're filming this. I'll call it 6.5 because the latest reports, all indications are that Kellen Moore is going to be the next Saints head coach. Tom Pelissero reported on Friday that other candidates have been told that they're interviewing Kellen Moore right after the Super Bowl, which is being played in New Orleans, so he can just stay there, interview with the Saints. It sounds like, barring something going disastrous there, that a contract will be finalized there. So basing this video as if Kellen Moore is going to be their next head coach. So let's just start with the Saints. I'll give it a C-. When coaches turn you down and you're not that attractive of a job to begin with, it's, you're fighting an uphill battle. So you can do worse. Kellen Moore's been in the mix for a while. He's a good young offensive mind. I think he was probably the third or fourth intriguing young offensive mind in this cycle. Obviously, you had Ben Johnson, Liam Coen. You could argue Joe Brady and Cliff Kingsbury were better. They obviously opted to stay. That being said, I think given their cap situation and just their no quick path to winning, I would have gone with a Mike McCarthy, a guy who's done the job before, a stabilizer. Not that the Saints are like a dysfunctional franchise, but a coach who's done it before that could get through this transition period feels like a lot to ask out of a first-time guy. I just, especially one that really wasn't at the top of their list. So I wish Kellen more luck, assuming he's the guy. C-, I don't know. You could certainly give it a worse grade, but they're fighting an uphill battle, so I'll give them a C-. The Dallas Cowboys are not fighting an uphill battle. Big brand. Good, not great talent, but at least you have a quarterback that you can win with in Dak Prescott. You have stars like CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons. Again, you've got the brand of the Cowboys. And not only do you end up with Brian Schottenheimer, you really don't even do a search. I mean, their interviews were Robert Saleh, Leslie Frazier, Kellen Moore, and Brian Schottenheimer, and then Jerry, behind the scenes, talked to Deion Sanders and Pete Carroll. Like, that's not a search. It just isn't. And, I feel bad for Schotty. Like, no one even wanted him as their OC. So, like, him alone would not be a good hire. Like, if you went through a 12-candidate search, did real interviews, did a second round of interviews, and landed with Brian Schottenheimer, it would be in the D's. But the fact that you didn't even do a search, basically, and just promoted Mike McCarthy's non-play calling OC when you could have just kept McCarthy, like, to me, that's an F. Awful process. A coach that no one was looking at. Doesn't mean it won't work. It just means that on paper, it's really fucking as an F bad. Okay, the New York Jets. A-. I think all things considered, that job wasn't super attractive going into this cycle. They didn't even try to get Ben Johnson because they knew they couldn't get him. They interviewed Mike Vrabel, but once New England opened up, that wasn't going to happen. I mean, A-. Aaron Glenn, great motivator. He's been around the block. He's a no-nonsense guy. It brings a lot of experience. He's been around winning. He was a good player. He was a player there. And I like some of the early hires. Steve Wilkes, good DC. Tanner Engstrand comes from that Ben Johnson offensive tree in Detroit. He was their pass game coordinator. A lot of Lions folks thought he was going to be their OC. I like what they're doing. I think considering it's Woody Johnson and the Jets are not that attractive of a situation, I think this is a pretty good job. To end up with Aaron Glenn, I think is pretty good for the Jets, so I'm going to give this an A-. Subscribe to 4 Verts. We got you covered with all kinds of coverage, including breaking NFL news. Big things happen. We got you covered. Full Super Bowl coverage this upcoming week. Hit that subscribe button and join us for 100% free. Got to give the Bears an A. Listen, everyone knew they had to get an offensive coach, and they got the best one that's been considered that the last 2 years in terms of, like, guys who could get hired. Doesn't mean it'll work. Again, these are grades on paper. What does it look like? But Ben Johnson has been highly coveted for more than 2 years now. You needed someone to give yourself the best chance to maximize Caleb Williams. I don't think there's anyone better out there. So that process ended up being good. I think for the most part, the guys he's brought in as assistants on paper looks like a good staff. You get Dennis Allen running the defense. I really like that. It's got to be an A. You end up with the best offensive guy for a team that had to go offense. That's an A hire for me. I like what the Raiders did. They wanted Ben Johnson. They took that swing. I respect it. Didn't work out. And you get Pete Carroll. Like, if Pete Carroll was 63 instead of 73, I probably would have given this an A-, B+. That's really the only downside. He's 73. Like, I know he's a young 73, but it's not like he's going to coach for 10 years. Like, best case scenario, he's there 5 years. He leaves the job in a better place than he found it, and he hands it off to someone else. I think there's a real opportunity that could happen. You got to be patient. You got to give it time. You're in a tough division. But Pete knows what he's doing. He will elevate the floor significantly for that organization. They have not had a credible coach like this since probably the first time Gruden was the coach in the early 2000s. So good for the Raiders, man. I think this is a really good plan B, and I think it's a B grade. All right, the New England Patriots also get an A. Look, Mike Vrabel, for my money, was the best candidate out there that had been a head coach before. Obviously, you could say a guy like Mike McCarthy, Pete Carroll have better resumes. They've won a Super Bowl, but Vrabel's not even 50 years old. He was winning in Tennessee. That didn't have a very good roster, let's be honest. Ryan Tannehill, AFC title game, pretty impressive to me. Won the division one year as well at 13-3 in the AFC South. He's a New England guy, played there. He's in their Ring of Honor, whatever they call it. Every team calls it different, Hall of Fame, Team Hall of Fame, Ring of Honor, whatever the case may be. I like the McDaniels fit for that team. He pretty much doesn't work anywhere else. I think it's a great move. Bring him home. And sucks for Gerard Mayo that he was one and done, but, sometimes it's better to just move on when you know it's not working out. All right, the hardest one to grade was this. Liam Coen and the Jags. C+. Look, the process sucked because you kept Trent Baalke, which cost you any chance at Ben Johnson. It was going to cost you Liam Coen, but then you pivoted and fired him and you got Liam Coen. And then you're feeling great. You're like, oh, man, this might be one of the better hires. And then he just completely flops in the presser. I'm not going to overvalue that too much, even though it was pretty brutal. One of the worst I've ever seen. I'll go C+ for Duval. He's still a good offensive mind. Let's see what the staff looks like. All things considered, considering no one wanted the job, and you still get someone that a lot of people did want, I'll give it a passing grade. C+. It cost you Ben Johnson, or a chance at him, so that drops you into the C's from a B. But I think Liam Coen gives you a pretty good chance to get Trevor Lawrence back on track, and that's got to be the priority considering you just gave him $200 million guaranteed. All right, there you go. My head coaching grades for this cycle. Let me know in the comment section down below who made the best hire. Who hired the best head coach? Was it the Bears? Was it the Patriots? Maybe you think it's the Jags or the Raiders. Or hell, maybe Brian Schottenheimer is the best hire in this cycle, and I'm just an idiot. That's the beauty of the NFL. We got to see how it all plays out. My name is Harrison Graham. We'll see you guys soon.